Good morning, everybody. Hey, I'm me, and today we have a topic. It's kind of a continuation from yesterday. We talked about CRISPR and DNA yesterday. Well, during my telemed appointment, I had a chance to ask my doctor about it, and we got a short little video or interview from him that he and I did on CRISPR. Now, first of all, the CRISPR we are talking about is not the part of your refrigerator, and it's certainly not the new Ritz cheese CRISPRs with a very cute little model, I should add, but rather is a form of gene editing technique. In the genetics industry, there's experimentation to edit genetics. So, I thought we would get started with that, as it is definitely the latest cat's meow in science. And the reason I say that is because people like the ability that they can, and this is being used now, to remove genetic abnormalities that may end up becoming part of the newborn. As he and I covered, what about the option for dealing with those that are already living? So, without any further ado, the interview's not long. I'm going to play it, and then I want you to listen to it, and I'll read your chats as I can as well. You're going to, computer, are you going to record it, or are you going to make me look? Okay, it's recording, okay. We're talking about DNA, RNA research, DNA splicing, and the ability of CRISPR to edit the DNA of human beings to remove genetic defects from, say, for example, from newborns or people that before they're born. Do you think that the technology is going to improve where we can use CRISPR to search and replace for genetic defects in living people, to remove all potential defects in genetic genomes of the person that's currently still alive?
You're talking about two things here: the unborn child and the one that's alive already. So which one do you?
Well, right now we know it's being used with unborn children, but what about adults?
Adults.
Yeah.
No. What's your genetic makeup now?
Well, let's say, for example, you find out that, looking at your DNA, that your family, by the time you are 75 years old, are likely to get osteoporosis, for example. And you go to a geneticist in this example, and he says, "Oh, we can remove the defective gene, and we can do the equivalent of a global search and replace all the defective genes in all the genome and all the cells." Don't ask how long that would take. Okay, well, just give me
not in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Probably in the future they could. We are still in that infancy stage.
Right.
So
you think? So you think in the future he's really?
It's possible.
Trying to phrase his questions because he realizes that I'm really asking about the England's. Right.
Science is optimistic that at one point they could eradicate that particular gene that carries the diabetes. The imprints for diabetes, they could eliminate that probably in the future, but not in our lifetime yet.
But right now they can't do it yet.
They cannot do it yet. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, going back to your...
As I don't want to take up all...
Going back to your Yeah.
All right, so let me just wrap the recording up. That should be enough to start with right now.
Gosh.
Okay, so start recording. And I can hear as I was, talking to him. And he was particularly focusing on diabetes and removing the marker or the genetic thing that can cause adult onset and maybe juvenile diabetes. The idea of being able to go in to a geneticist, removing genes that could be faulty, of course, could also have negative repercussions as well, because some of the random things that we happen is how our species has evolved. I don't know how else to put that in a nice way. The fact is, we might have, for example, a trait that later turns out to be a favorable trait for the human race, and then because of CRISPR, you can go ahead, you can edit it out, because you may see it as a defect, but later could be a survival thing for the human race at a later time. Anyone that I have missed? Rick and Carrie, hi everyone, how you doing? Andrew S. Hi Krill. So the idea with CRISPR is right now, as he says, in its infancy. They haven't quite gotten to the point where they can do a global search and replace in all of our genes in our body, all the cells, to remove the undesirable traits such as diabetes. But perhaps maybe in 10, 20 years for adults, they might be able to do that, where they can start doing gene editing, just like some people edit their text documents. More in that in a little bit. Okay, so now the next topic we want to cover is, besides saying hello to FC. This is really, the next topic is related to what you and I were starting to talk yesterday about the afterlife and past lives. And I was talking to Monica last night. I was hoping Monica would be on the panel. I don't see her yet. But basically, me and her off the show, we're talking about my past life experiences, and how their past life experiences, through what they call residual karma, can bleed through to your present life. They can take the gene causes breast cancer, for example, and that's why Angie Jolie went ahead and had a mastectomy. Okay, that's true. Detecting is one thing, but actually using the things that edit out the genes completely is completely different. Good morning, how you doing? Monica? She was getting her headset on or something.
Oh, hold on a sec.
Okay.
It off.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we
now
go.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
So, the next topic we're talking about is what we were talking about last night about prior lives experiences that sometimes carry over into this life.
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time talking with Forever Conscious Research Channel yesterday morning in Discord, and he gave me a bunch of stuff on reincarnation to watch, and it's amazing. There's no way people could question with some of the evidence that they have, but I'm just wondering if part of the reason for the reincarnation, like you said, some of the things that you experienced in past lives bleeds through to this life.
Yeah.
Like fears of height, fears of I have this horrible fear of really deep water that you can't see the bottom.
Right. Or my fear of total darkness.
Yes, exactly. Does that come from those things?
The evidence of past lives is overwhelming. That's true. If you ask many people who do past life regression therapy, um, even Edgar Casey himself talked about, is a living example or of somebody who could recall his past lives information pretty accurately. Um, and we've also have stories from others that talk about prior lives that they had that physically they couldn't have even have known about outside of, even if we had the internet, a lot of the stories turned out to be a lot of facts. Right. Well, it makes sense. I mean, after all, how many people even knew um my personality in the past? Um that was, oh my god, you forgot my native name. Well,
It's
anyway,
early.
Michelle knows me as Little Me, so she does. I remember your last name was Finesse. Was your last name? Yeah, Finesse. And the thing is you go back and you look at the past lives, and then you start, and they used to be, especially in hypnosis and past life regression. All of a sudden, now you got all these facts coming out. It's almost like somebody actually put a packet snipper in your Ethernet cable and starts getting pieces of this and that. And then, yeah, my first name was Lorena and that Finesse. All right, okay, there we go. So, and then you see, so then you start going back into birth and death records and the family records of these people, and you start to learn so much. And then you find out that, wait a minute, this person's telling a true story here. Amazing. It's not a made up contrived story, considering the fact is, how would this person even know half the stuff that they're talking about? Especially when it's from a
Yeah.
completely different country and a completely different time period.
Well,
Right.
most of the stuff I was watching yesterday it comes from little kids that are like 2 years old. There's a little boy who's now 18, but when he was a little kid, he was telling his parents that he was a pilot in World War II, and he had incredible knowledge of this person's information, from the name of the boat that he flew off of to where he died, all kinds of stuff that a 2-year-old is just not going to be able to look up.
Right, but were they actually able to look it up to confirm the facts? That's a good question. We're still trying to look up all your facts. Right.
Yeah, exactly. The researchers that did the channels and the shows looked that up.
Okay. So there is amazing bits in your channel. So yeah, there's quite a bit that goes through in there. And then of course we were talking about the fact that I was a Roman centurion in the time of Rome, because of how it's related to the stories I'm writing, which I'll read some of the story in a little bit. But that's, I want to talk about the experiences that I had as a Roman centurion. I think still have an impact even on my life today. Um, People don't realize the reason I like swords versus guns is, first of all, I'm more familiar with a sword and the damage a sword can do. Plus, at the time of the Roman army, they didn't have guns. That was something that came later on. About
Right.
1,200 years later, the first pistols started showing up, and
Yep.
shotguns. So the the first thing is that people don't realize is that it's a very different situation when you're doing the hand-to-hand combat, which is more or less. If you ever see me play World of Warcraft, I know some of you are gonna go, "Oh, okay, we're going to World of Warcraft again." And of course, as Monica can verify, she seen me play the game. She knows how I
Yep.
play it, and I have a certain playing style, which some people say is Gee, she could have finished the game months ago, but she's still playing it like she's enjoying the walk in the park because Michelle is enjoying the walk in the park. she doesn't.
Exactly, Louie.
She doesn't
100%
have to.
right,
She's
Louie.
not playing to win it. But for Michelle, it's almost like a way for her to enjoy a different environment, a quiet environment. It's an environment that she was comfortable with.
There you go, Louie. That's spot on. Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's what kind of what I told Michelle pretty much. She loves the environment. It's an escape. Which leads me into why the story she's writing is so beautiful.
FC says, if you don't know, reincarnation is happening. It's a big leap of understanding past life regressions. Yeah, well, everybody knew that from instinctually. Oh, FC, let me get you on the Discord panel since love to have you on. And I did ask if you would want to be on the show. Let me see if I can get you on. Yeah, let me see if
I can drop off if you need the bandwidth, Michelle. I can drop off if you need the bandwidth.
Yeah, I got him.
Do you want me to do that? Okay, all right. I'll just mute and let you guys talk then.
No. We want you to be part of the chat too.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because I'm sure you got questions you want to know too.
Oh yeah, I've been talking to him though, and I found some other research on my own. I've showed him. He says, "Yes, I'm familiar with this person, you know, but please keep showing me what you find if you have questions."
Can't talk this morning. Oh, I guess it's just me and you then. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, he can't talk this morning.
Yeah,
Okay, no problem, FC.
So
maybe another day. You did have Wreck and Carrier in there in the chat. The last time I looked at it, I'm driving, so I don't have the ability to look at it all the time. But they don't agree with. So maybe look at chat and see if they have a question or something.
All right, I'm looking at the chat now. So let's see. Let's the latest questions. Anybody have a question? Andrew says he'll jump on shortly. Okay.
Okay, Andrew.
Now, also, you've been reading the book, and I wanted to let you explain what you've been noticing, what you've been reading in the story as we're writing it. I could sit through to my own horn, but that's kind of boring. So I thought, pretty much as a third person, what's your view about what you're reading?
I love it. I know you pretty well, so I know that the way the turn the story has taken doesn't surprise me. It was originally just going to be a review of the travel system, but that's just a sideline. I love that you are addressing your knee and your ears, your dream of getting your ears permanent. And another thing that we didn't ever discuss about possibly living on Silvermoon is that you would be healthy and fit because of the Sunwell.
Right.
And
the
young,
Sunwell is
the
energy
young,
that helps to infuses the whole entire city with magical properties that, like you said, keeps you healthy and fit, and it definitely keeps you younger.
And you even brought Rusty. I want to throw that in because we all love Rusty. You even brought Rusty into the story, and he's already got himself some ladies.
Yeah, he's got 2 female cats who are villainous cats.
Yep.
And in the time of the story, he was 17 years old. Now he's like a 5-year-old cat. That's how much the Sunwell helped to restore some of his youth and vitality. Michelle could go to space with Elon Musk. Well, it's funny you should mention Elon Musk because Jason Hernandez, which was a member of the crew of the Elon Musk, is the one who actually decided to go back to Earth after he spent his time on Silvermoon learning about being a mage and portals. And then he was the one who went back and convinced President Kamala Harris to invest, time and resources into building a portal to Silvermoon because he knew that this would be a fantastic way to build up trade. Now, for those of you who missed the news article that we did on the portal, let me see if I can find that right now. For some reason, I'm getting some interference somewhere. Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe that's why. If you go back and look at the story, where did I put that stupid thing? The news article? Yeah. It's in the same place. Oh, okay. So let's go to that. Yeah, let's go to that. And then, for those of you who'd never heard the news story, actually, Monica, why don't you give them a quick recap of the news article we started the story off of. Are you still there?
I am sorry.
Okay.
I'm driving my daughter to work. Go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where is that story.
Oh, the original news article?
Yeah.
Read it to him? Good.
Yeah, I think we'll just talk about. I'm gonna read a little bit about that if I can find it. The source code here, documents. It's in documents or is it movies? It's in documents. Oh, okay.
Yeah, will help you find it.
Because right now you're in. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Benefit? No, that's not it. Shoot, you would think I would actually have this thing stored somewhere.
It's probably still in Discord.
Close to less times. Is that it? Let me look. Oh, okay, here. Oh, that's another story. Didn't quite finish it, but it was a radio show I was working on. Let's see if I can find the U.S. Quiltless Railway. That's the story. There you go. This is the actual news story I've read on Silvermoon Radio. It's only 3 pages. And I want you to hear this. Holy crap, is that font huge? Why did you pick such big font? It's not just something. Alright, but it's good enough for this, though. Okay.
Yeah, Louie, she's blind. She needs a huge font so she can see it better.
That's another story. Okay, I grabbed the wrong one. But still, funny story, though. I should read it anyway. In the future. I hate when I do this. Damn. I keep pulling up the wrong pieces. Alright, so let me tell you what the news article said. The news article mentioned that Jason Hernandez had went to President Kamala Harris and actually recommended that they build a portal to Silvermoon. Okay? And the reason is that he felt... Oh, is this right here? Yeah, there it is. I found it. The new proposed United States Quiltless Railroad by Michele. Quiltless News. When Jason Hernandez, one of the survivors of the Elon Musk, learned how to teleport into portals, he had an idea. What if we could run a railway between the United States and Quiltless? Being the only 3 of the 36 humans that survived the crash of Elon Musk who chose to become a mage, he decided to learn about portals and become an arcane mage. Prior to crash landing on the Dead Scar, Jason had studied transportation systems. After working under Magister Irona for his 5-year apprenticeship, he proposed to the Quiltless Regency that it would be possible to create a railway between his former home, the United States, and Quiltless. At the first, the regent, Lord Thurin, had his doubts. However, Magister Arona pointed out this could be the type of thing that could revive Quiltless, as clearly Agramar wasn't interested in the Cinderai other than their mage works. The economy of Quiltless had suffered drastically since Arethus attacked with the Scourge and left the Dead Scar as his legacy. The Regency grudgingly asked Jason Hernandez to come up with a practical plan of how to organize his new railway. Jason returned briefly to Earth to talk to President Kamala Harris and the U.S. Secretary of Transportation and the Secretary of Commerce to begin a design of feasible means to make it work. The proposal would connect what is known as the Amtrak Northeast Corridor with Quetzalcoatl by a double-track railway, which would travel through a portal. On the U.S. side, this double line would provide both freight and passenger service. The United States side would be policed by the Customs and Border Patrol. On the Quetzalcoatl side, there would be a dedicated Rangers team that would prevent illegals from entering Quetzalcoatl, in addition to preventing the scourge from entering the portal. Okay, to the dismay of the Dead Scar Preservation Society, the railway would be a straight run from the Ghostlands to Quetzalcoatl. It would then continue by bridge to the Sunwell, allowing easier access for people to visit our restored heritage. The Society finds this to be an insult to the memory of all those who fought and died defending Quetzalcoatl. However, in all of their decades of operation, they have failed to come up with a plan to create a practical memorial. Mr. Hernandez points out that this new railway would make use of what RSS left behind, the perfect straight right-of-way that connects with Quetzalcoatl and the Sunwell. The proposed cost for Silvermoon is about $40 billion gold, or $50 billion US dollars, and it would take 5 years to complete. The United States side will cost similar and take about 3 years to complete. The two segments will be connected with a portal similar to the portal from Agramar to Orbos. A proposal with the Dead Scar Preservation Society would be a transparent, enclosed railway that would provide safe travel from the portal to Quetzalcoatl while preserving the remainder of the Dead Scar. This would add an additional $50 million to the Quetzalcoatl cost. Several merchants of Quetzalcoatl have expressed their excitement that Quetzalcoatl could be a major trade route. The two innkeepers of Quetzalcoatl, Valandra and Jovia, are looking forward to finally returning to profitability. Quote, I have had over 20 years of flat sales, said Valandra as she looked at her empty tables. No one comes here to eat. No one buys my products. As the only inn in Quetzalcoatl that still has a liquor license, she has seen flat sales of her alcoholic products. I am unsure how much longer I can continue to lose money. Jovia, the other innkeeper, was in agreement. Quote, we need new trade. When my father started this inn, we were a full-service operation. With the loss of guests, we had to scale back. I gave up my liquor license 20 years ago. Now all you see is the remains of what was once a thriving business. Innkeeper Delanio of Falconwing Square noted that while her sales were down, she still has a fairly brisk business. Quote, I am the first inn that new students from Sunstrider Isle say, which means I still get many sales. However, the new railway would allow me to add to the growth, as they would restore the grand entrance to Quetzalcoatl, and I can restore my doorway to the grand entrance. It was sealed after the area was considered unsafe. We will keep you updated in this breaking story as we learn more details. Now, that, my friends, is how you write a news story.
You just did, Michelle.
I used to work for both a high school and a college newspaper. So, that's how it's done. Now, I found another story, which was a radio script. And if you guys want to see the kind of stuff that I write, I wasn't going to play.
Hold on a second. Reckon Carrie said, and I know that they've been around you for a while. Don't know who Lumi is.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the real Reckon Carrie.
Running for a while. Don't know who Lumi is. Maybe that's not the real record. What do you mean?
Yeah. They don't know who Lumi is. I thought that Carrie's been watching you for a while.
Well, I think
thought she
Carrie
would
knows
fit.
who Lumi is. Because me and
Yeah.
Carrie used to talk a lot about Lumi in my past.
Good morning, Endora 2.0.
Okay, somebody wants to join the panel. Let's get them on. Where's that stupid screen? There we go. Good morning, afternoon in your case. How you doing, Andrew?
Hi, Michelle. I'm doing fine, thanks very much. I'm just a little bit hot today. How are you doing?
I'm doing
Excellent
right.
story, by the way. Really enjoyed that.
What do you think of the news article?
Which one?
The news
on
article
the
I just
Discord?
read.
Yeah, I was saying I really enjoyed it. I was actually trying to get through earlier on, so I thought maybe I'll just let you read it first, and then I disconnected, and then I went back on. Right, give me a second.
Okay.
Give me a second here. There we go. There we go.
Here we go. Here we go. Do. So, I see we have people
Yeah, I was just having to get rid of that.
starting to be disrespectful today.
Yep, girls. Give them an hour and look what they do.
So Michelle, have you ever thought of putting that to? I think we've mentioned this before. Any like a publishing company or something like that, because that's excellent. That's really good.
Yeah,
The way the description.
I thought about it. But if you really want to say something, I just found the script I wrote for radio serial, which I think you might like. Talk about radio serials. This could be a perfect radio serial for Silvermoon City Radio.
Talking of which, I'll be able to finally listen to it on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to that. It'll be the first time because I'll be on awake at night. I'll be on night
Yeah,
shift.
I know. I gotta get all the prior ones. I forgot to upload up. I gotta get those up. The video ones take longer than the audio ones. Maybe we should just upload the audio ones to save time. Yeah, we could do that. But before basically reading the other story, which would certainly take longer than talking about it, Monica has been reading it. She's been looking at the draft, reading the stories I've been writing it, and so I wanted to let Monica give you her synopsis of the story because she's a third party, as I said earlier. So it'll be interesting to see how she reads into the story.
Michelle, I was just going to mention something else. I like the idea of you were mentioning the officer Mark Blanchett. I think Out in the Wire mentioned something. It would be great if he could do like some sort of short interview or even a talk to the channel. If that makes sense. Yeah, I really like that idea.
I sent him an email about it, so if he can get back to me, and we'll find out what he's going to be able to do. That it'd be interesting. We can get a local police officer to talk about how swatting, cyberbullying, and stuff, how that affects the local police departments, and is there any way that a person can protect themselves from that actions of unscrupulous people?
Why is there no way they can prosecute? I want to know that.
I know in this country there are quite strict laws against it now, and when the European Championships finished, there was a lot of racial graffiti and racial comments being thrown towards the England team because they lost.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me! Racial?
Racial.
Even in the EU, you guys can't get away from that horrible stuff.
No. We've got such a wide variety of, I suppose, but like you guys, there's a wide variety of different cultures and people, and yet, if you go down to Portugal, there's a lot of Africans because obviously Portugal colonized a lot of, well, I don't know about a lot of African countries, but when they took a lot of African people back, and same with Brazil, that's why there's a lot of I've got to watch my P's and Q's. It's ridiculous, but get what I'm saying. And yet a lot of people in the England team are from African heritage, so they were the ones being targeted by these pretty much right-wing lunatics, just because they lost a football match, and some of the stuff that was being said was terrible. But they are quite strict on it here. They can literally ban you for life for going to matches and stuff like that, and you can receive jail sentences for it. You know.
Yeah, well, that's pretty. The thing is, with thanks to the modern internet, it's really kind of hard to catch some of these
It is,
guys.
yeah, absolutely, it is difficult.
That's one of the reasons why, as the quartering said, it's amazing that such a large number of people actually support having verified ID to register for social media sites, especially for those where you can be posting videos and comments.
When you put it that way, I do agree with it. There are a lot of reasons why I don't agree with it. I think I mentioned it before. I think there's too much information out there, if that makes sense. You've got to be careful of people, like we're talking about cyber hacking and stuff like that. Eventually, they'll probably find a very, very
Well, I
safe
do
way of
agree
doing
that
it.
there's a lot of our information's already out there, even unintentional
Oh, yeah.
consequences of it being out
Yeah,
there.
I totally agree with that. So, Michelle, I didn't mean to detract from your topic.
Well, that's okay. But my topics are pretty much so. As like I said, let's go back to Monica. Let Monica give her read because it is tied to the story, the news article. So, how do you think? What do you think about the news article and the story that you've been reading?
Like I said, the story is amazing. You don't spend too much time on description, on details. People who know you are going to be able to just read it and get it. Andrew will love it because Andrew's played World of Warcraft, so he'll probably recognize some of the things you talk about probably better than I do. But it's really good, Andrew. I can't wait until she puts it out for everybody.
Yeah, I'll definitely look forward to seeing that. Definitely look forward because I haven't played it in a long time. Sorry, Monica, didn't interrupt you.
No, go ahead, please. I'm driving, so please stop.
All right, okay. It's been a really long time, but when I sometimes hear you and Monica you and Michelle talk about certain things, I'll recognize certain words. It must be about 10 years since I've played it, but things like what Michelle talks about, Silvermoon, I recognize that instantly because that's a very well-known place. But I was always more of an Alliance player anyway. Sorry, Michelle, but
all right. Well, anyway, there's an interesting new twist to the story that I haven't released yet to Monica, but I will be adding to it. Let's just put it this way: Michelle has got the skills, as Magister Rona had pointed out, to be both a frost mage, which she is, a warrior, and a druid. The problem is like Magister Rona says, we don't train druids, which is a shame because I think you would have been a great druid as well. And of course, Michelle asked the question. I'm sure everybody who ever played World of Warcraft was asking is, why don't you have druids? And she says, because that is something that our forebears believed in, our forefathers, of being close to nature. We are a group of mages. Our world is based in magic. And to have a Cinderai druid would be like a slap in the face to every Cinderai who originally was of the Highborn. I'm kind of embellishing for the audience who may not know some of the story. But she says, I think you would have been. I think someday you will get training in that. And the answer is yes, it's very possible because the fact is, Stormwind has its own portal to the EU. So theoretically, if Michelle was to meet up with a Kaldarai, aka Night Elf, perhaps that's how she would end up learning her skills as a druid, which would support her warrior and her mage skills.
Right.
So I'm going to just basically say that's an interesting plot twist, which I might want to explore in the future. I never played a druid, so I don't know what a druid was like to play. So I'm just going to tell you what I know about druids, which is not much at all. But I've been studying when people talk about what's coming at you and taking Shadowlands, originally I wanted to go to Ardenweld, and instead I ended up in Bastion in Kyrian as a Kyrian, and I kind of, for some reason, I guess everybody starts out as Kyrian, which is fine, but I really still want to go to
Michelle,
Ardenweld.
can I take 10 minutes? I need to go and quickly answer
Go
a
ahead.
call. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Go ahead, Andy.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, I'll see you in like 10 minutes, guys. Thanks.
Okay.
How's chat looking, Michelle? I'm almost home, so I'll be able to moderate. But is there anything that needs taken care of in chat?
Not right now. I see
Okay.
Andrew took care of a lot of the major headaches in chat.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think that was the real Reckon Terry, because everybody that knows you knows who he is.
Well, no, that's not really Rickington Carrie, because Carrie herself really deeply was a very genuine and caring person.
To you, yes, she was. Yep.
And I think that the account has been hijacked by somebody else.
Yeah, well, you can just go and create an account right now and use any name you want, which always bothered me.
Right, and there's no Nick Collide. I noticed that they don't have any Nick collision detection to determine, hey, wait a minute, that account already exists.
Yeah, because you can't do that like on Facebook.
You can't do that. Well, actually, you can on Facebook, but obviously,
you can't.
Yeah, because there could be multiple MicheleMarieDalenes, but clearly,
in the real world,
if Facebook detects that you're trying to impersonate another, they're gonna catch you. Or especially if the individual who's the other one you're trying to impersonate catches you, that's it. Your account's closed. Boom, you're done. All right.
Not YouTube.
But YouTube doesn't seem to be as stringent about that. Plus, YouTube allows no verification to go ahead and start uploading videos and commenting in chats. I think that's something that needs to stop, especially uploading videos if you're not verified. Commenting in chat, maybe we can make some, they can kind of stick around a little bit. Because the sad truth is, maybe you just wanted to watch a video and you just wanted to speak up on a point in the video. Maybe not so much to troll, but you just wanted to express your opinion. So maybe, but because the fact is, even if you're not verified, you can upload videos up to 15 minutes long. That means that you can still do a tremendous amount of damage, and with those videos. And if you're the kind of person that likes to cause damage, you already know that. And that's why there's so many videos, I hate videos on YouTube, is because of that reason. Because people are taking advantage of the system to do that. So yes, like the quartering says, he's surprised how many bigger channels agree that there needs to be verification. The thing is, what the quartering didn't say is, it's amazing how many small channels are also pushing for verification. Because it affects both big and small channels. And then, of course, you got those spammers and scammers that are putting comments in videos that don't even make sense to put in. Like, they'll say a timestamp and then they'll give you a funky website address. And that's where I'm saying is maybe we should have to go through verification even to post, because the scammers and the spammers are not going to want to go ahead and give to YouTube / Google the real IDs and locations, because that's not how they work. They're like cockroaches. I'll be honest, I have a lot of empathy for the bugs, not for the people. Okay, but the point is for those who are nefariously doing evil, they don't want people to know who they are, because they realize that once YouTube / Google has your real email address and they have your real physical address, if you want to create more and more fake accounts, that means that you have to come up with more and more fake IDs. and there is money to be made on the dark web selling fake IDs.
Really?
But for them, you think that YouTube isn't aware of that? Of course they are. But it will also seriously would squelch a lot of the people that are doing this, because they're gonna go, well, sure, I know I get paid so many $100 a month if I promote this porn site or something, but at the same time, I don't want to pay hundreds of dollars a month to somebody on the dark web to make me a new fake ID with a new fake U.S. mailing address and everything. And then, of course, if you did have they required you to fill out a form or something and mail back, that's another obviously tool that could go wrong with this verification process. So you wouldn't be able to
Oh yeah.
post anything unless they wanted to put you through a probationary plan or like a probation, or like a probation. Say, okay, fine, you can post, but we're going to first check what you're posting. And if it's hate speech or it's scams or spams, get out of here. I don't care how many pieces of documentation saying that you're a good person. Get out of here. Okay?
Yep.
That's the
Hi,
simple thing.
Gianni.
How you doing, Skunky?
And Skunk Ape. Hi, Skunk Ape.
And how you doing, Gianni? And yeah, so I mean, this is is a valid point.
Yeah, it is. It is. And too bad. It's just too bad. This is the thing I've been saying in a lot of comments and stuff lately on videos I like is I remember when it was fun to get on YouTube and go in a live stream and have some laughs.
Yeah.
And I miss that. It's just not like that anymore.
No, it's not. Now it's like going into a barroom brawl, where everybody's basically got out their little knives and stilettos and threatening to stick everybody that happens to be going in that room.
Yeah, except for here, we had some.
And that's why we try not to do that. We work really hard to keep this place a comfortable, relaxed atmosphere. That doesn't mean that we don't get our own share of it. But we do our best to head it off the pass as fast as we can.
Absolutely.
Now, by the way, I found the radio serial I was talking about, which I wanted to share with you. Yeah, let me go back to that page, because I think it'll be interesting to talk about. As you may or may not know, there's a character in the World of Warcraft that I hate with a passion.
Baba!
Her name is Sylvanas Windrunner, and she is currently the war chief of the Horde. So if I can find this, here we go. It's part of a TV radio show called Cothla's Times. So this is a radio serial, and I'm going to read this to you. This is published in 2020. It's called Cothla's Time. Michele rips Sylvanas a new one. The narrator says, our story begins after Michele went on War Chief Sylvanas' rescue mission. After Michele discovered that the mission was a suicide mission to rescue several Horde members. One of the people they were to rescue, they refused to return with the group, as he told Michele, this is not the Horde that I grew up and believed in. Michele herself could not disagree, as she herself did not like Sylvanas or what she saw was happening to Agramar or the Horde itself. Determined to finally express her personal hatred of Sylvanas, Michele went to the office of Sylvanas to express her feelings. Michele looked around Agramar and the dingy brown buildings with their spikes and ugly architecture. Agramar was, as far as she concerned, was a slum. Whereas Quathalas, also known as Silvermoon, was a beautifully built city that had been ransacked by the Scourge. Ironically, the Scourge was led by no other than Sylvanas, Windrunner, who later moved in with her husband of the Forsaken. Ever since Michele was in elementary school, she heard histories of Sylvanas and how the Forsaken she had always had an axe to grind over what happened over 300 years ago. The Cinderai have long lives. Many live to be 500 years old or longer. Some even live to be 1,000 years old. Ever since Michaela was 75, she so much wanted to find Savannah and determine if she was as the history teacher had said of her. Michaela knocked on the war chief's door, a heavy wooden door that made her knock sound like muffled by the thick wood. Savannah answered the door. Savannah, looking and sounding annoyed. Who are you and what do you want? Michaela looked at Savannah with disgust. We need to talk. I'm going to have to explain what this is a script, so you have to realize I'm going to read it like the story is, and then we'll just have to take it for a shot here. Narrator said, Michaela pushed by Savannah as she walked over to the desk, a desk covered with grime and paperwork. Savannah was not at all happy to be manipulated by someone she did not know. Walked over to Michaela and blocked her from sitting down. How dare you! Just walk into my office. Who are you? Quietly, she thought of how the Cinderai looked familiar. She had seen this woman before. She just was unsure where she had. I was one of the people that went on that fool's errand to Stormwind to rescue the Horde prisoners. I also delivered Illyria's necklace to you in Undercity. Oh, yes, I remember now. How come you come back and none of the others did? Michaela, angry and raising her voice, you did not think I could figure out what you had in mind? Every time I made a mistake, I had to repeat the journey until I got it right. Or I could drink that little nasty potion of yours to quit. I used my Hearthstone as a last resort after every other technique to get around the Stormwind guards failed. The potion would have turned me into another one of your scourge. I would not drink it. Yet you limited my ability to just die and start over. My Hearthstone worked, and that's how I am here. Savannah began to think of how she could have made it even more difficult for future missions. I need to disable the Hearthstones. How could I have forgotten that? Oh, okay, thanks for the tip. I will remember that for the next mission. Michaela looked at Savannah with pure anger. As she grabbed her by the back of her neck, she hissed angrily, There will not be a next time. Michaela threw Savannah against the wall. Savannah was pinned down by Michaela. Michaela held her against the wall like a vice. Savannah tried to use her evil eye to hypnotize Michaela. Michaela gave her own version as a frightened grip on Savannah's wrists. Savannah cried in pain as she could hear her bones in her wrists getting crushed. Michaela says, How many others have you done this to? Michaela slammed the crushed wrist against the wall. Savannah gasping in pain. Many, only you came back. Michaela was outraged. How many? Why? Savannah's wrist in pain. Her wrists were crushed, and Michaela slammed her against the wall. Her skull made a hard crunch against the reinforced adobe wall. Savannah fought to remain conscious. She was quickly losing control. Savannah's pleading, Please stop. I'll tell you. Michaela looked at the older Cinderai with disgust as she led her to a chair and slammed her into it. Do anything against me and you will never leave this room alive. Savannah winced as she felt her broken bones in her wrists. She knew her days of using dark magic were long gone. If she was lucky she could get a Forsaken bone repair to restore some of her wrist and mobility. Looking at Michele, a tall, red-headed Cinderella fuming at her, she quickly tried to read Michele's mind, only to find a strong force that kept her out. The same type of force her sister Ilaria discovered when she was exiled from Silvermoon for doing void magic. This was a shadow priest, and they could totally turn your mind into ooze. Many shadow priests were not physically strong. Yet, feeling her broken wrists, this was like no other shadow priest she knew. Sylvanus was facing a threat that she could not subdue by magic. With the sheer pain of her broken wrists and cracked skull, she could not physically work a spell to defend herself. Sylvanus defeated. Yes, it was to totally make you give up to drink the potion which would have turned you into a Forsaken. After you drink, you pass out, and our mage will retrieve your body, and you would be in Undercity as a new resident. Michele, outraged, what gives you the right to determine who will be Forsaken? I have worked my whole life in honor of the Horde. I have served under Garrosh. I pledged my allegiance to the Horde and the Questless. I have a home on Draenor. That Horde prisoner was right. I do not serve you, nor will I ever serve you again. You have been corrupted by evil. You are a shame to the Cinderai and the Horde. Michele spat in the eyes of Sylvanus and sent her into a strong dose of shadow word pain. Sylvanus screamed in agony. Michele turned back the writhing woman sitting in the chair. I am leaving the Horde. I will take Questless with me. Cross me again, and you will be, raised voice with anger, never recover, as I will destroy your sick mind in minutes. You have dishonored the Horde, and you have made an enemy today. Michele stormed out of the office and slammed the heavy door behind her with a solid, reverberating thud, leaving a broken Sylvanus writhing in pain. Sylvanus slowly got up. She was too weak and crashed to the floor. Her secretary came rushing in, horrified to find his war chief in such a state. What happened? Sylvanus struggled to explain what happened. Her secretary gently helped her up and summoned the healer. As they waited for the healer to arrive, she gave him the full story. He nodded, as he was unsure if she should ever cross paths with Michele again. This Michele sounds as if she clearly has her own axe to grind. You are, unfortunately, the axe. I would advise you to avoid this woman. He wiped the blood from Sylvanus' head wound. Sylvanus groaned as he applied the salve to the wound. She has said she will take Questless with her and fight against me. Ow! That hurts! Don't touch my wrists! Secretary, I'm sorry. I need to examine them. Clearly, this woman is of great strength. I do not know if a healer can fully repair them. Sylvanus was at a loss. For the first time in her long life, she was unable to defeat an enemy. Michele was an enemy of another type. She was not a demon or a boss. She was an angry Cinderai. What surprised her was that even though Michele was a shadow priest, she did not just outright kill her. Michele made her physically hurt and left her in that sorry state when she walked out. If Questless decides to leave the Horde, so many as Cinderai would leave the Horde forces. This would totally destabilize the Horde and her plans for the domination of Azeroth. Quietly, she looked at her concerned secretary. Find out what you can about this Michele. I want to know as much as I can. Secretary said, I will find out as much as I can. It will take me some time, however. He went to answer the door to usher in Sylvanus' personal healer, a Forsaken medic. He looked at her wrist with a shrug as he began to perform a healing procedure. Sadly, it was not going well. After many attempts, he sighed and gave her the bad news. I'm sorry. I cannot repair this. I have tried many times. The damage is too great. I can give some limited mobility back to you, but you will never have the same abilities. The good news is the skull fracture is easily repaired. Savannah winced. She tried to move her hands as she would do to do spells. They would not move to the proper positions. Savannah in dismay. I can't use my hands to do spells. That vixen took that away from me! Angry voice. She has taken my magic from me. Damn her to the maw. Damn her to the darkness. Savannah jumped out of her chair, only to her sudden movement caused her knees to buckle, and she slammed into the side of the desk. Her knees smacked onto the floor with a heavy crunch. Her healer was already starting to heal the damaged knees as he and her secretary put her back in the chair. You got enough problems. I don't need you to injure yourself further. You just cracked your kneecaps. I have fixed them for now, but the damage will take time to heal. You need to rest a few days. He told the
Michele's a
secretary.
badass.
I know, I'm finished. He told the secretary to arrange for a gurney to get Savannah back to the Undercity. Carefully, they put her on a gurney and created a portal to bring her home. There we go. That is how
You always say you.
That was actually a
You always
radio
say
drama I was working on.
I like it.
I know. That's a weird comment. So obviously, I got a donation from Monica for $20. Thank you very much. I'm glad you liked
You're welcome. It's really from all of us, Michele. It's from all your support.
Yeah. I think this is something that I want to do. Also, with Silvermoon Radio, is to work on locally produced Silvermoon serials, and I think if we can get a couple people that would like to work as voice actors, we could have seriously dramatized that story to the point where the audience would not only feel immersed by it, but actually would enjoy it as a locally produced Silvermoon's radio serial. Plus radio comedies too are fun too.
We could pop it into the radio program on Sundays and pre-record it and just pop it in as something that you play, like an MP3 that you load.
Right, we could do that too.
Is that what you're thinking?
We would just record it in advance.
Yeah. It was really good, Michele. Skunk Ape would rather have a love story, but Skunk Ape's gonna always tell you the opposite. That's what he does. That's why we love him.
Well, we can. There is no reason we couldn't have a romance comedy. There's certainly it was in the times of radio, old time radio shows. There was romantic comedies too. There was also science fiction stories. They even had soap operas. This is supposed to be kind of like a soap opera serial. By the way, if you really want to have fun, go listen to the starting of the first pilot episode of The Guiding Light on radio serial. Now, you already told me you had cassettes of radio shows, so then you probably know what I'm talking about. The fact is, you listen to those and you kind of get immersed in the story. Even in this story, you probably were visualizing everything that was going on with at that time in the scene. Were you thinking about visualizing the whole situation of the office and going, holy crap, I'm seeing with my mind's eye the whole scene transpire in front of me.
I haven't seen World of Warcraft enough, but I was able to, tell what a room would look like in that part of the world. Andrew might better, but I was still able to picture a scene, and I was getting into it. And Michaela is a badass, and every time I tell you she is, you say, I know.
Yeah, she is. She's
Well,
because
I want to play an evil character. As long as I can play an evil character, then I'm definitely up for voice acting.
yeah. I mean, like we were talking last night, is up to voice acting. Oh yeah, we could definitely. I'd love to get people to do the voice acting. If we can get the voice acting, we just need to have a person play, a couple male and female characters. Because we don't have a huge group. Now I know I don't know anybody who probably would be a better. Maybe Charlotte could be Savannah's. But basically, at this point, Savannah's herself isn't really going to be a major part of the story after this, except more of a thorn in Michaela's side, is Michaela will be mobilizing the people of Silvermoon / Quethalas to leave the Horde and become an independent country, if you want to call it that, an independent group, a free nation. Using a terminology they're not tied to any particular alliance or horde, but rather would be a place where you can have kind of like Dalaran. Dalaran is neither alliance nor horde. For those of you who play World of Warcraft, you may or may not know this. Dalaran is neither alliance nor horde. It is actually both. You can rub arms with alliance and horde in Dalaran.
Yeah, I like Dalaran. It's one of my favorite places.
Same thing with New Hope. In the let's see, I was in Searing Gorge area. Yeah, it's So I think this could be really seriously something I'd like to do more of, especially with winter coming up. It's going to be cooling down. There's going to be, people are going to be wanting to enjoy something more than just sitting inside and just watching cat videos. Although there's nothing wrong with watching cat videos. I watch plenty of them. But the fact is, I think this is the kind of thing. It's just like Ed said. He said a lot of the stuff of the past is coming back again. We're seeing the railroads are making a major comeback. We see that the airlines are slowly losing their influence on travel. We're seeing the return of the drive-in movie theaters. We're seeing
Rubik's Cube. Rubik's Cube came back.
Yeah. Okay.
All kinds of stuff's coming back.
I don't think it ever stopped being made anyway.
Retro stuff's always cool.
Yeah, but the retro stuff that, like Michelle's talking about, like the radio serials would be fun to bring back a little bit, especially if we could do it ourselves. That'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, we can do it ourselves. We just have to have the scripts. We just have to practice our parts, and thanks to modern technology, which they didn't have back in the 1930s until the availability of magnetic tape to record and edit and re-record if necessary, we could totally redo the story, and each person could even record their own segments of their own time, and then the person that's the producer could take the pieces and put them together. Although it would be more fun to do it on a Discord chat together, read the script together, and then have somebody recording. It's similar to what was done back in the old days when it was live radio serials, when they were live back in the 30s. That's exactly what was done. You would actually go and a major station, say like WCBS in New York, or WNBC. You would go through. You have a soundstage. You got your guys and gals. They're all sitting there. They got the scripts in front of them on their easels. They're reading the script. You may even have a small studio audience in some cases. And then they would be broadcasting it live from the studio to the millions of listeners, either through local radio broadcasting, or they would send the show live over telephone links to other radio stations in the network, so that people could hear the whole show. Some distant stations, they would later transcribe it live onto a record, and they would ship to those stations to play for their listeners.
Yep. And they would have advertisements played during those
Oh yeah, they
live
would do the
studio recordings.
jingles. We could even
Yep.
focus on trying to find the perfect type of Cinderai type jingles for AM 1610. I do not think Cinderai would be in it for cigarettes, but I'm sure that they would certainly have their own things that they wouldn't mind doing for recreational, maybe even involving Mary Jane and or some types of mushrooms. I'm sure that they probably use mushrooms. People would
Whiskey.
probably like that.
Whiskey.
Galore.
Ale.
Whiskey.
Oh, they drink a
Ale,
lot of
yeah.
ale. Yeah.
Yeah, so can we get into the real parts, like actually drink the whiskey and do all this stuff while we're doing the play?
Yeah.
I hope so.
And of course,
Yard
if you
darts. I
really
remember yard
seriously, like if you're really good at playing a character, for example, let's say you're playing a drunk in the Silvermoon Inn, or the other one down there in the what they call the Murder Row, that in a Murder Row, which is the only one that still has a liquor license. You can visualize, if you're playing the drunk, if that's your thing, right? You want to play a drunken, angry drunk sitting at the bar, challenging everybody. Come at me, you asshole! I'll take you down. Bam! You can
Michelle,
barely
you've got that
stand on
nailed
your
down
own
to a
2
T.
feet. Never mind, take down somebody else that's totally sober. That would be so awesome, because the whole point is that people would listen to those and they would enjoy it if they were 15, 20 minutes. That would be a completely different experience for so many new people who never experienced old time radio serials. Because I always felt radio serials were so very deep, thought provoking, and improving one's imagination.
I just think it would be fun to work together, with
Absolutely.
us as a group. Maybe even some of the people that aren't in the support group, maybe they would still want to participate. I think it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it gets a lot more people involved. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
sorry I
end
had
up
to
laughing.
dash off like that. Just
I'm sure that for the audience, some of them might want to later go out and say, "Hey, can I submit story?" For a show, because we do a show, and of course, thanks to the internet, because it would be mostly volunteers. The truth is, they could create their own stories, and with their own friends, record it, and then we could listen, pre-screen it, make sure it doesn't. Because for Silvermoon Radio, it wouldn't really matter how raunchy it got, but if we ever wanted to share for YouTube, that would matter. But I think it would be a real leaping up point. I didn't even really think about this, but Monica, this pre-story led to the story about the news article about the railway, which led to the story I'm working on right now.
That you've been keeping secrets from me about. Oh. I thought I was your editor.
I mean, it's just funny that all these pieces seem to kind of have a sequence. They keep coming up.
They do. I think, Michelle, we need to make the radio program, finish the book, and we need to turn it into a fan fiction publisher. You could make a little bit of money off of it.
Charlotte, they used to sell them here, but they were banned back in the 90s. But they
Lucky Charms?
Yeah, they banned them here because of certain food colouring that was in them, and it wasn't down to European standards or something like that.
Hey, Skunk Ape has a question.
What's that?
Michelle, did you ever eat turtle soup?
No.
I don't think I could either, Skunk Ape.
Maybe I would give it a try, but yeah.
If I was starving, I might
out of nowhere say we have a radio station. I know the station. If you're talking about the 50,000 watt station on the Toronto area, I forgot what the call letters were at 840 kilocycle AM. Yes, I know the station. It's strong enough that you can get it here in the United States. And I do know about the radio serials. We also used to get them on WNEW with on AM 1210. And when I was a young little girl, I used to listen to that. The Shadow, the Lone Ranger, and even the local radio station that is now out of business, WSNG, used to play the Lone Ranger as well. And I always loved the CBS Mystery Theater, and I enjoyed that stuff. And of course, for comedy, I've always found my friend Irma was always my favorite. Don't ask me why.
I listened to a couple of those. I listened to a couple of those on YouTube at your recommendation the other day. That was pretty funny for even back then. It's still funny now.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, some of the characters, like how Miss Stacy was talking about what's her name. Yeah, we're talking about El Jolson. People bring that the whole El Jolson is, but the thing was, it's still kind of funny once you realize that El Jolson was a very small man. He was a performer, and that was pretty cool. I kind of am like an Irma Peterson sort of, maybe not as forgetful, but. A lot of our sweets are made without E-numbers. E-numbers?
They used to have a lot of E-numbers are like it's like a coloring. It's a fake additive.
Oh,
Used to put
okay.
into a lot of and it would drive kids not insane, but they would get very hyper, and they would
Yeah.
Just something like that.
Is it red?
It was basically just it's more of an additive really than anything else. It's not so. When I said
okay.
colouring, I was meaning something like that. And
Well, they had
things used to be loaded
problem
with them.
Yeah, they do, and they actually, when my daughters were diagnosed with ADHD,
Right.
my doctor said, "There's an alternative I'd like you to try. Nothing red. Don't feed them anything red. No hot dogs."
Okay.
Gave me like a little thing of stuff to keep off there, and it actually helped.
I only noticed we only have 2 likes right now, guys. What goes on? We got 12 watchers with only 2 likes.
Yep,
Where's the
I
rest of
dropped
you
the
at?
likes. Just dropped the likes, peeps.
Yep. I just got back home. I forgot to put a note in again.
They are going to make an attack. They were talking about attacks on junk food, yeah, but I think they're actually now thinking against the idea out in the wire, but because everything's taxed now, it's like you're not allowed anything. If you go to a hospital in this country, there's nothing with sugar in the whole building that you can buy. Everything is sugar free, every single thing. You can take stuff in with you, but you can't buy. Like you get stores in the hospital wards and stuff like that. You can't buy anything with sugar in it whatsoever. You can't even find it. You used to be able to buy cigarettes in hospitals even like 10, 15 years ago, but now that's all gone.
Really?
Probably a good thing.
They won't sell you anything with sugar if you're in the hospital?
Nothing. In all the shops that they have, I don't know about England, it might be different there, but up here you cannot. Everything is sugar free.
Yeah, in the United States, you can't get around it. Everything now is mostly high fructose corn syrup, which makes sugar look like child's play. Trust me.
Yeah, I can believe it.
You don't mess with HFCS.
Michelle, we just found out something very important.
What's that?
Out on the wire is an identical twin.
I don't know why I'm laughing, but because there's a lot of twins in the world.
Out on the wire is what? Identical to who?
He's an identical twin. He has an identical twin brother.
Oh, okay.
So it might be the brother in here right now.
Yeah, so Andrew thinks we have a double agent.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing. That was funny.
I
would hate a twin of myself. One is bad enough.
I wonder if maybe I could have, if maybe through some strange coincidence, if maybe I have an identical twin somewhere, or maybe I
You do. Her
had
name's
an
Lumi.
identical twin somewhere. I
You do. Her name's Lumi, and she lives with you in your
well,
body.
we're maybe twins, sort of, but we're not identical.
I know. I'm just teasing.
I
Yeah,
know.
Lumie's slightly different in terms of
Yes.
looks. Right.
Lumi's very different. When she had her own show, people tried to tell her she had to wear a wig. I don't think she does. People who know Michelle and Lumi know they're different personalities.
Yeah, of
When
course.
remember when Michelle's channel was down for that week,
Oh
and we were
yes,
over on
yeah, I remember
Lumi's
now.
channel?
Lumie's channel, yeah,
Lumi
that's
handled
right.
it. Yeah, and Lumi
Yeah,
talked
Lumie
most
was
of the time.
brilliant. Yeah.
Personally,
Lumie
I
was
would
excellent.
not
She
wear a
was.
wig in this heat. No. In
It
fact,
is
that's one of the
really hot
reasons
today.
why the British court system gave up on the powdered wigs. They said, "Screw that." There was a heat wave in London. They said, "No more of this crap. We're done with it. Forget the powdered wigs as judges. We're just going to show her bald heads." I can't really blame them. No, I can't either.
Yeah, I suppose.
My hair was so thick, I at one time considered shaving the bottom half of my head bald so that it would be cooler and let the top of my hair just cover the bald.
Yeah.
My husband said no. My husband said absolutely not. Okay. All right, I'll keep my hair long for you, Baldy.
Now my hair grows very, very fast. And if I just shave it off now, I don't bother with the cuts and stuff. I just take a razor and that's it gone. But it's needing that again, so.
I have to
So your
admit,
twin and
Andrew, you and I, according to past life, may actually have a past life together. But we didn't talk about that for a second. Is it
Okay.
it's theoretically possible that me and you had a prior life together, maybe even as husband and wife at one point.
I guess it's possible. As I say,
well, based on my research, the reason why I think it's possible is because you tend to be bound to people you've been with in past lives. So, friends, family, acquaintances, people you
yeah.
were married to.
Right.
You could actually be in a past life, you could have been your own parent's parent. You know what I mean?
That's
Unfinished
true.
business.
That's an interesting concept.
I would
His
bet.
parent
I
was
would bet
I know what
married.
you're
that would probably make Back to the Future feel kind of the writers Back with Future feel kind of confused. Wait, you
Yeah.
mean Marty McFly could have been Marty McFly's
Well,
grandfather?
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yep,
It would
but
be
it's
good to
true.
go back in time and find your past person or who you were as a in the past life. And
Thing I'm going to try doing is some regression. Apparently, you can do it on your own now with meditating, and I'm going to try and do that because I want to know.
oh,
I don't
did
have.
you? Was that the video? Did you look at the video from FC?
Yes, I've been watching all of them.
Right.
He sent me about 12
Right.
of them.
Some of them
And
are
it's
really
amazing.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's undisputable that it's happening.
Yeah, I'm actually really more inclined to agree after seeing some of those, and even the
Yeah.
stuff that we've talked about on here. I was always open-minded towards the idea anyway, but having seen a bit more. Of
It
that,
also
yeah.
turns out that me and Scottish Stacy also have a very important related past as well. We were both basically living in the same countryside town in Scotland around the 1500s. We were both
That's pretty cool.
basically
Yeah.
had husbands and families, and we used to wash
Hey, Andrew
laundry
and
together
Charlotte.
by the river. That's
Hmm.
what you think about
That
it.
would also explain why when I see pictures of places in England, old buildings, old castles, countryside, Scotland, Ireland too, I feel like I've been there before and I need to go back.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yep.
Yeah,
You know, kind of
same
like
thing with
deja vu.
me.
I was wondering though, have you ever done the John's jog, the Land's End to John O'Groats in a car or a bike or anything?
No, but I've been to both places, but I don't. The idea of running it would be. I don't know. I don't think I could.
No, yeah.
Do it
I watched a YouTuber walk it one time and stay at hostels and stuff on the way. It was really beautiful.
Yeah. Well, one
Yeah,
thing
a lot of people
is,
do that run for charity and stuff like that.
Yeah, Lejog they call it,
Mm-hmm.
LEJOG or something.
Oh, right, okay. I know what you mean now. Yep.
I still think it's just really interesting to think about that. The fact is that there are things that are ingrained in our psyche that we remember, and we mean I've physically been there in this life, and yet once we see pictures, it's like, oh, I know where this is. I remember when
Yeah.
I was there, and we did something together, or when my husband proposed to me, right in front of the castle, and you're like, wait, what was that? You like your brain starts to remember when you see certain pictures, or you get
Exactly.
a
It's like you
certain
see,
sense
Michelle,
of,
the deja vu feeling, the
yeah,
feeling of
deja
deja
vu.
vu.
Yeah,
Been there before. Yeah. There has to be something to it.
yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful out on the wire. I'm so great. I'm so thankful they were able to do that for your mom.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that was nice for your mom that you get to see your brother and your sister in law get
That's
married.
nice.
I think that was nice that they did that. But yeah, there are things in the past lives I still do today that are, for example, I'm very particular. Like we talked many times about my way I like this. I'm very supportive of hand to hand combat with swords. And I know some people love
Yes.
guns, but for me, well, no, I never had anything positive to say about guns. Um, Also, the fact is
I
that
like
I do
guns.
certain things that most people don't even know what I'm doing. Like I can do sewing and mending, and I can be very, very old school. I'm talking about 19th century old school when it comes to certain household chores. That some people are
Mm-hmm.
like, how in the heck do you know how to do all that? And
Yep.
you're like,
I've
well,
thought that.
if you try to
I
explain how you really would know, they'll look at you like you're weird. But if they say, "Oh well, what's on YouTube?" That's just a quick excuse. That's not the truth. I already know how to wash laundry by hand. I already know how to, make fresh bread and stuff. I knew how to do that. I certainly didn't necessarily have a problem with an outhouse in the backyard. It didn't bother me. I'm like, some people are, ew, oh, why would it? What's so great about that? Well, you didn't have to worry about clogged pipes. That's what. You just have to make sure to backfill it every so often, dig a new hole and slide the outhouse over to the new hole. That's all. Um, Weird as it is, that is the way I do things. I mean, it's because that's part of my background, my backstory, who I am. And it doesn't make sense to so many people today.
Yeah,
But
Just you, Michelle. Those of us that
yeah,
know you are
exactly.
not
And
surprised at all.
yeah, and people will relate to it in
yeah,
their own version, if that makes sense as well. They'll say, "Well, I'm more of a fan of, say, aeroplanes rather than trains." So there could be something even in that. What you might have been an eagle in a past life or something. I don't know. Maybe clutching at straws here with that one, but I hear what you're
well,
saying.
that might be true. Yeah, it's funny you like the flying,
I know it's
the
cool stuff.
experience of flight like a bird. I always
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
saw myself kind of almost like in some of my dreams I'd be flying over things, like Superwoman, flying with a cape, you know, you know, flying over things. I almost like Potter without the broomstick. And I can certainly visualize playing Quidditch. Thank you very much. I know that sounds weird, playing Quidditch from the air. By the way, there really is Quidditch games. They actually have taken the Potter's Quidditch and turned it into a Earth-based game.
Of,
You
of
don't
course
fly
they have.
though, but you play from the ground. Pretty interesting.
Sorry to hear that, Charlotte.
Yeah.
It's Andrew, I just want to say this. You're never gonna get over it. You just kind of get used to it. You're still
Yeah,
gonna miss
well,
them. You're
I
still
know what
gonna.
you mean. Well, I lost my father when he was in his 30s, and I was, that was what, 30 years ago now, nearly. So he was in his early 30s.
Yeah.
I don't want to depress you guys, and then yeah,
No.
it's weird
No.
because I've still got grandparents but no parents, so it's quite odd.
Yeah.
But these things happen. You know, that's the way I look
Yeah,
at
you
it.
do, but you do. You just kind of learn to live with it,
You
and
learn
it's normal to still
absolutely,
cry later on. It's normal to still cry later on. I cry every time I go to my daughter's grave. I cry
of
out of the
course.
blue, anywhere out of the blue sometimes, just because I wonder. I always wonder what if. I see
Yeah,
Jody
yeah,
doing a milestone, and I think, oh, I wonder what Danielle would have done.
of course.
Stuff like that. And
Yeah,
just, I haven't lost a parent yet, though, and oh, when it happens, I'm gonna lean on you guys a lot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I lost my father, and he was probably the closest one of the two to me. My father and I were pretty damn close, if you ask. um, we spent a lot of times when I was a kid talking about things, business things. My dad was a businessman. We would just talk business and wood, because he was a woodworker. Where I also was doing woodworking for fun, and he would do carpentry. Building houses and interior construction for like finished carpentry. My dad shared a lot of things to me. It's just like the same with John Fogerty. His blood runs through my instrument, for I am a living legacy to the leader of the band. Yeah, yeah. You'd be surprised how much of my past my father actually shared with me, and how much of it I actually kind of knew from my own prior lives. What he was talking about when he was talking about his experience in the Korean War. I didn't even have a problem visualizing being in a foxhole, because apparently I had been in foxholes, and I had been in combat as a Roman centurion. So yeah, there are things I remember that just kind of dovetailed very well with my dad's stories in the Korean War. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
I bet he had some fascinating stories to tell about that experience as well. I
One
love hearing
one
stories like that.
experience he told me is he says normally the hand grenade pins are designed to be hard enough to pull for prevent accidental issues. And one guy, which you could say is equivalent of Gomer Pyle, decided that he wanted to straighten all the hand grenade pins to make them easy to pull. And if you're like me, and he told me, he says, no, lucky we were so lucky that none of those pins came out
I
when
was
we were
going to
in the
say that happened to me.
foxholes. He had to go through and rebend all the pins so that the grenades wouldn't accidentally come out and be triggered. Otherwise, we
You'd
could
have
have
to pay a
lost
lot of
we
money
could have
for that
lost the
job.
whole platoon. That's just an example of the stories that he told me. I was like, yeah, I can believe it, and because not only because I knew Gomer Pyle USMC, but I also knew that there were always going to be somebody in the trenches that's going to try to think of, well, gee, what do we do this to make it easier? Son, it's designed to be hard for a reason. You don't want your pins to fall out and then have your hand grenade get triggered when you're moving them.
Sorry for laughing, but it's quite funny anyway.
It was true though. Um, but anyway, the point is this: it's almost time for me to get ready to wrap it up. But the thing is I do want to work on a radio serial. I did not get a chance to read you some of the actual story that I'm working on right now. But in a way, that's good because it's not even finished yet. And it's probably going to take a while to finish it. Because when I get started on something, a story can take me a couple of weeks to write before I feel is ready for anything.
Yeah, you're
But
quite
for
a
those people on
perfectionist or something.
Patreon, please do look at Maka's World. Again, the character Michaela is addressed, but she's not in Silvermoon. She is not a blood elf. She's a human Klingon hybrid. But even so, the Michaela that you see is a fiery redhead is there. And she is, even then, is kicking ass. I would say go to the Patreon page and check it out. If you don't know where it is, I'm surprised our D Live Nightbot How come you can't show them the Patreon page? Someone just tell them to send it out to you here. Is the link
Nightbot's having a rest. He's been lazy today.
Patreon?
It's a hot day.
Yeah, Nightbot's taking the night off, it looks like. Or the day
Yes.
off, huh? We had some good chat interactions today.
Yeah.
A tavern
We
room
definitely have
in
good.
Discord would be fun.
And for those of you who are just looking to read the stories and not basically make a huge monthly pledge, you only have to put $1 a month in just to read Maka's World and Ballad of the Snow Teen. If you want to read Ballad of the Snow Teen, it's also only $1 a month. Take a look at both. Ballad of the Snow Teen has some strange twists, turns, and some of the things might totally seriously make you question your sanity. But, well,
I always do that, Michelle. That's normal for me, so it's okay. I can
Yeah.
relate to it already.
oh my God, they changed my name into yellow? Or from yellow to green. You see where it says, but I said Patreon? My name is
Yeah, it's yellow.
green. It's no longer yellow
Well,
anymore. Wow.
It's yellow on my screen.
Yeah,
yellow
it's
here
lime
too.
green. Or it's almost like I forget what flavor
Are
ice
you in
cream is
stu-
green.
are you in studio, Michelle? Or you're on a desktop. That's probably why.
I'm using OBS right now.
Right, okay. And that could be too. Okay.
That could be. But I'm talking about looking at the YouTube chat replay. Right now, that's where I'm seeing I'm green.
Oh.
It's just
Yeah,
really
that's
interesting. Because we know that the Streamlabs chat has a notorious habit. I don't even have this on the screen. Everyone's
It
saying, "Hey
changes colour
Michelle,
quite a
you
bit,
didn't show
yeah.
us the chat screen all day." You know what? I
I
forgot
sometimes
to
tell you,
turn
but I
that
don't
on. There
want
we
to keep
go.
reminding you all
All
the time.
right. I forgot to turn that on, but in a way that was good because some of the people that were saying bad stuff, they didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to show it on the screen, and then you and I would have been crazy trying to figure out how to get the stuff off the screen. So,
So get it off there. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only risk, I suppose, with having that on the screen is, like
The side
anything can
play.
be, anything can be on there.
Yeah,
It
it gets
stays
harder
up
to get
there,
rid of it.
and yeah. So I'll probably go in and look at this video and just blur out
There's not much to blur
the
out.
name. No, it'll just be one person. I'm just wondering. There's a blocked word option. I wonder if we could do block the letter N, the letter I, the letter G. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? By itself, because if we could block those individual letters, they wouldn't be able to do that anymore.
Yeah, but you can't block if you block the letter I, then you can't say,
Then
I know what
I
you're
wrote
talking about. It would be like
Well, we're
black
writing
words.
codes,
Like, I
exactly.
can't say the word I. No.
Yeah, we'll have to use an I icon. You're right, Michelle. That's fair.
Yeah, keep it
So there's
complicated.
some letters or letters or articles you can't really block because it would make no sense.
Charlotte, I agree, even though I haven't seen them yet. Oh, I'm joking.
And I think it would be even if you tried to block the other letters, I think it would unfortunately those show words with those letters in it. I don't know how good the system is at recognizing. Oh, I'm sorry, but the
Yeah.
letter G in Godfrey or goal or game
great.
is now considered
Right.
taboo, or is it the
Right,
individual
you're
letter
right.
being standing by itself is taboo? I don't know.
It was worth a try.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I can see where you were coming with that idea, but it would make
I
type
think you guys are
certain words.
100% right.
Yeah.
Charlotte
Alright,
Swift,
guys.
you don't see.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here on this fine Friday. And don't forget, we have a morning show tomorrow at 10 a.m. And so, because we do have them on Saturday. And then on Sunday night, don't forget, we have the Silvermoon Radio, AM 1610. It starts at 7 o'clock on the Discord. And we do our best to try to come up with some fun music and stuff. I haven't really picked the records for that night. I'm gonna look into it, or maybe I might just play some MP3s. I don't know, depending on how I feel. because I have a whole stack of pre-made MP3 playlists and everything, so I can just play those. So for now, everybody, just do me a favor. You have a good night, Andrew and Monica, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Absolutely.
I'll be a bit later, but I'll definitely go on at some point. Thanks,
Okay.
Michelle, for having me up.
All right, thanks. See you later, Andrew.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. And for the rest of you guys, I'll see you tomorrow too. I gotta go do Meals on Feet. So you guys, have a good day here and keep cool if it's hot where you are. And I can tell you right now that Lake Mead, for those in California, has just been issued a level 1 water advisory. So unfortunately, for the people in the Lake Mead region of the drought, is going to be seeing water restrictions, which is pretty significant. But hopefully things are going to work out for them if they can get a good steady rain, and get some water back into the aquifers. But that's another story. So for now, I'm going to let you go. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys.